Natalka Cmoc is Canada's ambassador to Ukraine, and she joins me now live from Kyiv. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
Well, thanks for making the time. I know that the negotiations for the security deal that will provide over $3 billion in financial and military support have been ongoing for a while. What has been the response from the Ukrainian government to this commitment? Some of it, I should point out, though, is a loan for in the form of loans. But how significant was it to them to have this agreement from Canada?
So they were thrilled, clearly. Canada is actually the first non-European country to have such a bilateral agreement with Ukraine. So it was very well received. And hopefully it'll encourage even more. And I know that there's some parallel agreements being taken right now as well. So it was very well received. I understand, Italy also signed yesterday as well. So the Canadian agreement is very similar to the others. It's a 10-year agreement and it aligns very nicely with the others. So.
Tell me what it meant, do you think, to have a number of leaders there supporting the president of Ukraine on that anniversary moment? A war, as the Prime Minister himself said, that perhaps we didn't think would be still happening, still ongoing.
It means a lot to the Ukrainians, and that was repeatedly said throughout the day. So I heard, having accompanied the Prime Minister and the delegation, we heard over and over just how much it meant that Canada was there, as well as the other leaders, and that we had such a strong delegation. So I think Ukrainians were very much touched by the presence there and reassured that Canada is still, a strong and friendly supporter.
One of the things that seems to be of big concern, there's a couple of things, obviously, but let me start with this one. For the Ukrainians is that U.S. aid package still remains blocked. I spoke to the U.S. ambassador to Canada earlier in this program, and he is confident it's going to happen. But I would imagine that is a lot of the conversation there in Ukraine. Is it not that the money is still not there and that they would be concerned about how they can make up that loss until it gets there?
No, I think you're right. I think it is something that is discussed a lot here in Ukraine, and a lot of hope is placed on the U.S. being able to provide that. We're hearing the same thing. We're always being assured that it's coming, and it will be very, very well received when it does. I think the very fact that the Europeans have also stepped up very actively with their support is really a huge help. And I think Europe is really critical here. And of course, Canada's presence is always a reliable friend.
What about the pressure on countries like Canada and others to get munitions to Ukraine? We heard from Ukraine's defense minister over the past 24 hours that things are arriving very late, too late for them, in fact, and that they are frustrated that this is still happening 2 years into a war that they feel they should be further along in. What do you tell Ukrainians when they say, where are the supplies? When are they coming? What more can you give us immediately?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a recognition that there's a bit of a global crisis in terms of some of the ammunition. In fact, it's largely because we've been living in pretty much peaceful times for a long time, and so not really expected to require this level of ammunition. I think that a lot of the agreements are going to be really important, not just from the provision of ammunition, but also really a key component that you'll find in all of the agreements is the defense industry cooperation, which I think is going to be key.
Yeah, I'll just tell viewers, Ambassador, that as we're speaking, the Minister of National Defense, Canada's Minister of National Defense, is speaking right now in Poland. The Deputy Prime Minister also there, and we'll be taking some questions and speaking about what they are doing with troops there. I'll ask you, though, Ambassador, what your sense is about how things are progressing on the battlefield, what they are telling you in the Ukrainian government, given that we know that the Russians captured that Ukrainian city of Avdiivka, a big territorial gain again. What is your sense of how challenging it is on the battleground right now?
Well, I'm not a military expert, so I'm glad you're going to be
Yeah,
talking to
yeah.
military experts. But what we're hearing is we knew that Advika was going to be something that the Russians were really aiming hard to gain before for this anniversary. And we also understand that Ukrainians made the strategic decision to pull out to save their own soldiers' lives and ration their ammunition. So I think they made a strategic call to regroup, from what I understand. But I'd also like to say that I was in Odessa last week, and I heard the admiral there was describing some of the wins that they had on the Black Sea, which no one had anticipated. So I think that on the Black Sea, they're making incredible gains, and in fact, they've cleared the corridor for the grain delivery, and they've pushed back the Black Sea fleet quite far, and I understand that they've now destroyed like 25 warships, so it's pretty impressive.
So there are some gains, and of course some losses. That's how conflict goes, even as it heads into the third year here. How do you think Ukrainians are feeling? I know you have personal connections to the country, and I just wonder whether you get a sense of whether they have the resolve to continue, and whether they feel like they have the support.
Yeah, so they are an incredibly resilient country and people. And I see that all the time in the people I meet, not just at Kyiv, but when you go to visit the regions. And with whomever you speak, it's quite clear. And so this is a war not just on the military front, but you're seeing it from an economic resilience perspective, a cultural resilience perspective. And they're very united. And I have absolute faith that they will win, because they have that common goal and they're fighting for their identity, and they're fighting for their identity and their culture really aggressively.
So glad we could finally get you on the program. Hope we can speak again as things progress. Nice of you to make the time this morning, Ambassador. Thank you.